Hi, good evening, you beautiful souls. Sorry for my delay. I'm back. It's been a few weeks. I have been on a soul care break, for those of you who know, and I have been sharing a few clips of what I've been up to whilst being on a soul care break. What is a soul care break? Exactly what it means. Taking a break and acknowledging the soul. So I'm back today, Wednesday and Friday of this week, and this evening we have a very special guest from Sweden. He goes by the name of Magnus Fridh. He is a yoga and meditation teacher and the author of the book, The Art of Stillness in a Noisy World. Today we'll be discussing all things well-being. It's exactly what I need. I can't wait. Mag, are you here? Yes, he is. Hi guys for joining us tonight. Shouts out to Suki and Olivia. Gonna send a wave. Instagram has changed how they do things. I've been gone for about 6 weeks. Okay, I may have to bring you in. Hey Sandy. Mag, here we go. For some weeks, forgotten how to use it.
Hi,
Hey, how are you?
I'm perfectly fine. I'm just,
Wonderful. Can I hear you a little bit louder? Is it my phone or is it yours? Oh, it's mine, perhaps.
can you hear me now? Can you hear me better
That's
now?
perfect. Welcome to Free Flowing Thoughts, Magnus. How are you today?
I'm perfectly fine. I'm in Stockholm, Sweden, working for a few more days before I will take off on my vacation. You know, we Swedish people, we love vacations. I will be gone for at least 4 or 5 weeks, I think.
Oh my goodness, can I come with you? I can fit into your suitcase, I
You can
promise.
do that. I will wrap you in a
Fold
yoga
me up.
mat,
That
and
sounds
hide you.
amazing. Okay, so we're going to talk about where you're going perhaps a little bit later. For now, thank you so much for joining me on your first visit to Free Flame Thoughts. It's my return visit. I've been gone for some weeks. I've been saying earlier, I've been on a soul care break. This literally, as you say, mindfulness, it's been like soulfulness. I've been taking that time just to nurture in nature and all those wonderful things. Um, so today, guys, Magnus, as mentioned earlier, but I'll keep repeating this through the evening, is a meditation and yoga teacher and is also the author of the book, The Art of Stillness in a Noisy World, correct?
That's
Yeah.
absolutely correct.
And we're
Yes.
going to talk a lot about that a little bit later on. I'm going to keep waving to everyone. And then what we'll do, guys, is we'll just flow with the conversation as we do on Free Flame Thoughts. And then we'll create some space for you guys to ask all the questions in the world, or at least maybe Mag would like to, I don't know, throw some stuff out to you. We'll always make time to go back and read. But if we keep disrupting every minute, then it starts the whole frequency, but we'll make time for that. So Mag, you just mentioned that you're in Sweden. I want to know a little bit about the soul of you before we go into all the handles as we do. So tell us a bit about who is Magnus. Let's start there.
Isn't that a very, very hard question to answer? I mean, I want to say my name and like my ID number and where my parents' name and my work, profession, and so on. But it's always when a person say like that, it's like you limit yourself because of course I'm much
Aha.
more than that. I'm a meditation teacher, yoga teacher, but also been a music producer, and I've been
Oh,
uh,
I didn't know
I've been
that.
in the academic world, and so to speak, and I'm been through sorrow and pain, and I'm been through happiness, and so we are so many things, and in the end of it, it looks like we are a network of processes that keeps on having an impact of what we call this is me.
Aha. I absolutely love your response. Those who know, I always ask people to share elements of their soul with me because I think we're so engineered and orchestrated just to say, oh, I'm a mom, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a student.
Mm.
And it's not you. You're not you. Those are your handles. There's a soul in there that's
Yes.
probably very silent and you've never even discovered because you are surrounded by handles all the time of what you
Mm.
think you are. And so when you describe as you did, that's wonderful. So
Mm.
what is your origin? Are you your folks bred and born in Sweden?
Yes, I'm from the south of Sweden, in the smallest landscape of Sweden. Actually, it's called Blekinge, the land of the pale. Very,
Oh,
very weird translation.
hey.
But yes, but it's a very small landscape in the south of Sweden. It's beautiful, the beautiful archipelago, and also a lot of forest.
Oh my God, did you say forest?
No,
Right. Did you say forest? You guys,
forests,
if
yes.
you know what I'm like with forest, please send some hearts. If you know me, everybody, I am obsessed right now with walking barefoot in forests. I'm a bush baby, I think, at heart.
A forest is very good to spend time, and very well invested
Wow.
time. And I also write about that in my book, actually, how maybe if you burned out or something like that, you feel a lot of stress and anxiety in your psyche. It's a very good idea to spend time outdoors, because there is a lot of research nowadays showing that you don't have to perform anything, and that is very beautiful. I think you can just spend time out in nature, and it can be quite small. That's very interesting. Quite small collections of trees, actually. So what we call a forest, it doesn't have to be this like no end forest. It can be also an alley or a park or anywhere where it's a collection of green, so to speak. I have a tree at my yard where I live. I live in the very middle of Stockholm, and it's the only living thing apart from my neighbors. Only living thing I can see is actually a huge maple, and it's like we live on the third and fourth floor, and it goes all the way up there, and I can see all the changes all through the year, and I really think it gives me a good peace of mind, and it gives me how to say, a navigation in time, and navigation of impermanence, which I think is very interesting to understand the impermanence, because it will give you a relief, and it also give you faith.
I love it. I'm so tickled right now. I can't even speak. I've said to people, if you know anything about me and how I've fallen in love with forests, send hearts. And it's just been going, so Sweden is such a promotional place for forest and nature.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know, Sweden have this, we have this all man's right, we call it. I don't know if you heard it before, but it's a law, actually. It's a rule that even if you are you have your own private property, you can't limit people to trespass, to walk into that property.
Really?
Yes. The only thing you can't do is to spend time close to the house where people living, and also raise up a tent, spending a night there. But apart from that, the nature here in Sweden is very accessible, which is just wonderful.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm coming.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, that's
yes.
amazing.
Yes.
Right, guys. For those who just joined, this is Magnus Fridh. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
You pronounce it exactly correctly. Yes.
I've been rehearsing.
You were so nice yesterday when you're kind of nervous.
Can I tell you how I did it?
Yes, you also asked me, can I make a short version, a mag, I think. I will call you Mag if I can't make the full version. I'm totally fine with both Mag and Magnus.
I put it on audio. So I literally, when I was saying to you, okay, pronounce your name, it's on over here, I done it on audio. I kept playing it back. So when I done the promo, I knew I had to get it right. Yes, I'm a perfectionist. Okay.
Now you know it perfect.
Oh, perfectly. So for those who've just joined, we are talking to Magnus Fridh. He is a yoga and meditation teacher. Tonight's discussion is all things well-being. I'm actually really excited because we need this right now, guys. Social media is flooded of images of what we look like, but what do we feel like is the question. So mindfulness, this is very me. Mag is also the author of a new release book entitled The Art of Stillness in a Noisy World. And we're going to get into all those layers a little bit later. But right now, I am unlayering Mag in regards to the areas of who he is as a soul. So I've asked about his location and his origin. Now I'm going to ask you a little bit before we get into your handles. So let's go on a little journey with me, if you don't mind. Now I'm going to ask you about Describe yourself in terms of what was you like as a little boy? Who was,
When I was
you
a
know,
little
the,
boy,
what was you
yes,
like?
I was very, how to say, a very, a lot of energy, and I had this, I learned much later in my life that I had this ADHD problem.
Oh,
I
okay.
understood that much later on. So I was very much like that, and I had quite big problems to stick with one thing and to focus. And later on when I was become a teenager, I also had a lot of restlessness and anxiety issues, so to speak.
Mm.
But the positive side was I have a lot of energy and I could really use it for many different projects. I was a big football fan, and
Oh,
I
wow.
was in general big in sports. And later on, I was also involved in the punk rock music movement.
Really?
Yeah, and to do yourself movement. I was creative doing fanzines, creative doing collection tapes, and have a lot of contacts in that movement. And it inspired me really a lot. And I think I learned a lot of things that I use nowadays. I learned through that period. I learned
Mm.
that everything is impossible, and you can never wait for the right moment when you know it
Mm.
all. Don't wait for know it all. It will never come. You have to trial and error, and you have to fail, and at least you can learn how to fail fast and be resilient to come back and try another way if that way wasn't the right way for you to go, so to speak.
Mm.
So I learned a lot during that time, and I also learned that to jump into things and to see put a positive light on things
Mm.
you invest time in,
Absolutely.
instead of seeing the obstacles all the time. So I always think that it's better to be like water than ice. So I think it's Seneca, the philosopher Seneca, would say he describes this as a wall, and when you meet a wall, you should be like water, find its way around it.
Mm. That's something that I've recently been saying. I heard this somewhere as well, and I actually want to become more like water and ice, a lot more flexible. So that's you sharing elements of yourself as a younger you, version of you. How would your friends and family describe you now?
Oh, I really don't know. That's always a hard question. I think they would describe me that I'm a bit one track minded, that I've always been, so to speak. That I'm very intense with things I've been doing, and I how to say, a bit one track minded, but also a bit narrow minded. Maybe when I became interested in punk music, that was the only thing that I was interested in. I spent so much
Wow.
time in this, and then when I found meditation and Buddhism when I was 17, 18 years old, something like that, it was everything for me, and I
Oh,
wanted to learn everything, and I took it quite far, and I invested a lot of time during my academic studies. I also went into Indology studies and tried to learn Sanskrit and Tibetan language and Hindi and stuff like that. And so
mm.
this is quite typical me. And then when I started yoga, I committed to a 6-day practice, even after just 2 weeks or something like that.
You're a bit like myself. You're all or nothing, a bit of an extremist. Yeah.
Now I'm not. It loosened in me a bit. So maybe it had its explanation, so to speak. Because
Oh,
now
yeah.
I don't feel so much like I have to do like that any longer, and I don't know exactly
Mm.
why. But it's always been my way, and of course it's been a way to a lot of positive and successful things. But of course, also when you are 100%. You can also miss a lot of things just behind your back.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
but that's how I've been doing. So that probably I think people would describe me a bit like that.
Okay. So here's a couple of interesting thought-evoking questions now. Hmm. Who are you when no one is watching?
Oh, pretty much the same, I think. I mean, I have my interests, and I'm very much into practice. Actually, I have a lot of shortcomings, of course, like everyone. And I mean, you should ask my teenage daughters about that, and probably they will have a lot of things to say about it. I hope so. But apart from that, I'm very much into to the practice part of meditation and yoga, and I spend a lot of time practicing.
Mm. And one last intriguing question before we get into your actual handles. What thoughts keep you awake at night?
Pardon?
What thoughts keeps you awake at night?
Oh, what thoughts keep me awake at night? Not so much actually. I think that's that's most about like very trivial things and very typical things for being a parent for two girls that is now 18 and 20 years old, and a lot of things is happening there. So most those things, but I'm not a person that is very anxious about future and stuff like that. I'm quite calm about those things, and I like when things are changing. I'm not very much for grasping and holding too tight to things.
That
I'm more into leaning into that things will comes to a natural term.
that was a great introduction. Thank you for sharing your soul with me.
Most
Should we get
welcome. You're most
into
welcome.
the handles now? So let's get into, for those who's just joined, I'm talking to Magnus Fridh, who is a meditation and yoga teacher. And today we're going to be talking about all things well-being. So let's get into that side of you. What led you to the path of yoga and meditation?
It's a quite long story, and please cut it short if it's too
No,
long
but
for you.
yeah,
But
Fridh,
it was like this, that when I was a small kid, my mother, she was sitting in a waiting room, I think at the hospital or somewhere, and she was reading a magazine. And in the magazine, it was a story about Tibetan kids in exile in India. And of course, we know that story, that Tibetans are in exile because of the Chinese occupation of Tibet since 1950, 1959. Dalai Lama started the diaspora to India, Nepal, Bhutan, and so on. And she read about this school in India, in northwest India, where Tibetan kids got like their second chance and they got a proper education. And it was all supported by the government of Dalai Lama. She wrote to SOS Children Village. I don't know if that's, yes, it's international. Yes, of course it is. She made clear that she wanted to support a kid in this situation in India. And it came like this, that she started to support a boy called Karmat Sering. And at that point, he was, I don't know exactly, he was a half orphan left in that village. He was for 5 or 6 years, I think. And my mother was very active and engaged in this sponsorship. So she became a close friend of the principal. I remember that he visited us when he was on a tour in Europe, and he visited us when I was 6, 7 years old, something like that. So very early, I heard about Tibetan culture, and of course, I was introduced to my sponsor, god brother, who lived in India. And as early as I could draw pictures and write simple letters, we started we became pen pals.
Oh,
With
wow.
physical letters, and then a bit of a gap in time. We had contact, of course, but then I don't know exactly why, but when I was something late teen, 16, 17, my mother and father invited Karma to stay at our home because they've been waiting so long to see him, and they weren't very much for going to India during that time. So we came and stayed at our house. As I remember, it was for 3 months or 4 months, something like that. And I was exactly in this age when you start getting interested in philosophy and why we are here. And as your first question, who are you? Of course, you start thinking about these things. And I came to terms already that I wasn't very much into Christianity. And not at all the monotheistic, ethical monotheistic religions. But still, I felt I had a need for something. So what happened was that without knowing that before, all of a sudden I had a godbrother, Tibetan godbrother in our house for myself, who was very skilled in English. He was at the university at that time up in Kashmir, I think, or Punjab, and he also knew a lot about Buddhism, of course, and Tibetan culture. So I got a great introduction and a great teacher. And I was very enthusiastic. It's really raised my enthusiasm for Buddhism. So we decided that I immediately when I left school, I should come and visit him in India.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was my start actually for becoming so interested, particular in this part of the Buddhist world, in this culture. And as I told you earlier on, I'm very much like this. So I kind of missed out on the yoga and India and everything like that. I was just going for the Buddhism. I wanted to learn everything.
I love it.
And at the same time, I had this ADHD, how to say, issues. So when I tried meditation for the first time, I felt something very beautiful. And I felt like all this restlessness, anxiety, stress, and things that I found it quite hard to deal with actually sometimes. And I remember that I thought a few times that is this how it will be to become an adult? To grow up with this, how can and alcohol didn't work, and I wasn't interested in drugs. So when I tried meditation, I felt such a relief, and it didn't disappear. But the great thing with meditation is that things you get a very clear view that things are not solid. So I really felt that if I stay still and if I rely and listen very carefully to stillness and to the technique and to the method, all these qualities, all those issues like restlessness and anxiety, they kind of diminished. They didn't disappear at that point, but they did lose its grip around me, and they did diminish. And I remember that I was almost felt a bit high on that experience. So I wanted to do it immediately again. And then, of course, this first love weakened after some time. But very clearly I can feel that this was catalyzing my path to dig deeper into meditation.
Wow, I am fully intrigued and inspired by how you even translate and process your emotions and journey. I love it.
And once just to wrap up that circle, because maybe I will forget about it, is that Karma, my mother's and father's sponsored child, he is now about a little bit above 50. He lives in Kathmandu in Nepal nowadays and have a beautiful wife and beautiful children, and we are still very close friends, which is very nice. So we meet almost every year, and my kids have met his kids, and it's kind of
beautiful, isn't it?
Nice circle.
What a journey! That part is so amazing, and it intrigues me because I have no idea why, but I've always been super intrigued and fascinated about the whole Buddhist thing. I've never gone to the depths of necessarily wanting to become one, but I listen to a lot of the quotations, the mindfulness. Most mornings, I mean, I'm happy just to have that on. I'm intrigued when I see Buddhists. I went to Thailand, I was following one round. I'm just obsessed with them, yeah? And I'm told there's a temple near me that I'm going to actually go and visit. I'm just intrigued with it all. So allow me to ask you the first thing about meditation. As you are and will be aware, depending on what cultural and origin background you're from, there's different, people see meditation very differently. As you, I don't know, I mean, meditate in itself in a dictionary will be just means to ponder intensely on something, isn't it? It's what it means. But what form of meditation did you start with? There's all different forms. What form did you start with? What type of meditation did you first begin your journey with?
It's very, very simple techniques, and it's the same techniques as I teach beginners even up till today, and it's same techniques as I use as a base for my deeper meditation nowadays. We call it mindfulness now. At that time, that word wasn't, they didn't use it so much. It was there, of course, but it was the meditation technique I used called shamatha meditation, or in Tibetan, shi-ne meditation. Shi means something that is peaceful, and ne means to abide. It's a calm, abiding meditation. And it's, to cut it short, it's like that you use, you have to stabilize your mind first, because before you analyze things and become more contemplative and reflective, you have to break free from the distraction and tell, just like a little puppy that can't be still, that wants to run away from you all the time. You have to tell your mind in a very kind and self-compassionate way to come back to its task over and over again. And the reference point can be the breath, the reference point can be a mantra, the reference point can even be loving compassion, or loving kindness. So it appears if you choose loving kindness, you also reap a double effect.
That's interesting.
So I started with just simple breathing techniques, and I could keep my focus for 3, 4, 5 seconds maybe, and then I restarted. But I was so enthusiastic, and I really wanted to learn this. So nothing could stop me. And after some time, this is very nice, that after some time the mind becomes more flexible, and this wild horse or wild monkey or puppy in your mind will understand that it is an option to be still.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And it really works.
Well, it's a gift to self, isn't it?
So instead of becoming employee to your mind that goes here and there, and mind is very sticky, cluttery. It's sticky in terms of that a thought will come into the display, and immediately you stick to it and think, oh, this is true. And an emotion comes in, and you can go from overwhelmed to sad just in a few seconds. So you are in a Buddhistic context, they will say that you are more like an employee. You do what the mind just ever takes you. But in stabilizing meditation, the stakes are changing, and you become the boss, and the mind will stay where you want it to stay for at least some duration of time. And in the beginning, that's very short, but later on, it will stay longer.
Thank you. Just to share a little bit about myself, and thank you for those who are coming in and out of the chat.
Yes.
I'm going to take a moment for you guys in the next few minutes. If you want to ask anything at this point, we're going to go a lot deeper.
Nice.
But I'm going to take this little fraction of a moment to share a little bit about myself with you.
Yes,
well, okay. So let's talk about my mini mindful journey. As you said, these types of terminologies was never really used in mindfulness. From very young, I always knew what meditation, you hear about meditation, you know. So I found, to tell you a little bit, I've always been quite an anxious person sometimes. So like the restlessness as well, I've got a lot of energy, which I love. But it can be a drag if you're around people that is totally opposite. Yeah, I'm always so full of energy, yeah, but it's also channeling it in the right way. And then there's been times where I've suffered a low vibration, which can be interpreted as depression in this modern day world, yeah? So I found that the whole full body stretching combined with small elements of yoga, incorporating breath work, and having that more as a morning ritual. I should do it in the evening too. Well, this is what I did. I started that slowly. And I have a thing where I attempt not to go on my mobile for anything, my phone for anything, you know, First thing in the morning, prayer of gratitude. I may go onto YouTube, hear something, whether it's Buddhist, whether it's regular quotations or poetic poetry, something that's going to shift my vibration and not go straight into work, bills, tasks. Because if I do that, anxiety, stress start the day. So I tried to give beautiful gift box of a bow for myself, mindfulness. Recently, I've been going into my garden about 5 in the morning sometimes, and I'm so surprised at myself. I'm not a morning person, but I'm retraining myself over the last couple of years. And it's only been the last couple of weeks I've been going in my garden and utilizing that space and having my mat and just sitting with the air and my stillness and my breath. And it feels transitional and amazing. Yeah, the rest is amazing. And I feel like it just starts my day off. So I'm on a high. It's like a drug. I'm on a high, natural vibration lift. However, I've always been quite afraid of letting go totally. I have this fixation of believing I have the ability to go very deep. So I'm always holding on. But then I have this second voice that would say, if you hold on, then you actually miss a part of the experience. Yeah. So I did go quite deep over a year ago, and I had very trippy experience, I think. And that brings me to my next point. And that's why now I only do quotational, gentle, you know, you have, what do you call it? You know, the visionary, like you're imagining you're a tree and you're the veins in a vessel, like, you know, imagination. I love all that kind of
visualization.
Yeah, that's the word. I love it. But breath work a lot and just honoring my heart and feeling present, I've become a lot more attracted to. And I'm going to actually, I'll talk to you about this another time, go into actually learning that professionally as well, the whole breath work. And I want to do all that and get all involved in that as well. But in teachings, I have found that there are different pockets of people, whether it's Christians or whatever, that are against meditation because of what their doctrine believes. Yeah. Have you encountered, my next question, anyone where they've told you for their meditation's bad? One more thing, a gentleman calls it Sangi, a really beautiful guru that's all over the YouTube and media. He's really beautiful soul, but he spoke about there's about 8% of mental patients and why they've gone into the mental institute because of their meditation. Not that meditation's bad, because he's Asian, yeah, but it's the form of meditation and people seeing it as a trend and not knowing what they're doing. What's your thoughts?
It's a very big question, and sometimes when we talk about meditation, we, from my point of view, I think it's a little bit sometimes to talk about sport, because there are so many different kinds and styles of meditation. Yes, and I mean there is in the Christian church there are a lot of deep meditations, and of course they focus and visualize more with the aim to connect with Jesus, yes, and Christ. And there are Sufi meditation, and there's so many styles. So I can almost only answer for the mindfulness, the more secular mindfulness meditation that is known nowadays, well known nowadays, and also the Buddhist and in particular Tibetan Buddhist meditation. But I would say that one thing. If a person comes to me and is not stable, and I will notice it, or the person will tell me that I'm in depression or I had a loss or something like that, I would never take them into. I would never request them to go into deeper meditation.
Can you tell us why? Because I know about these things, but let us know your perspective on why that is. It's a really important point right here. Why would that be that you would decline them if they're in a unstable sense of spirit and mind?
Because as I said, the method is that first you have to learn how to stabilize your mind. That's a number one method. It's a shamatha technique to anchor the mind, to understand how to deal with distractions and strong emotions, and how to understand to be resilient when you get lost in this cluttery mind. So this is a very clear method, and it's very emphasized that you have to start with this. It's like you know, if I would ask you to, can you, if it were a lot of waves on the water, and I would still ask you to try to see what's down below the surface, it will be impossible. But you can't how to say, still the waves. But with so this picture is very useful. I think you have first learn how to deal with that surface before you go deeper. Otherwise,
It can be
it's the wrong way. It can be overwhelming.
yeah.
You can put too much how to say, importance of feelings that might come up, or you just don't know how to deal with it. And if you're alone at that stage, I think it would be very not very responsible of meditation teacher to leave you with that. If you're very skilled and you know all those layers of the mind, and you're skilled in psychology as well, of course maybe you can take step by step this, but not as a general. That's not the way to go. I think that's where yoga is so great, because with a person that's like you're in a depression, instead that I ask you, can you just focus on your breath here and don't bother about the thoughts and emotion. It's quite hard, but it's very easy for me to say, inhale and raise your arms over your head. And when you've done that, exhale and fold. And then we take it from there. Let's do it again. And so it's like sneaking mindfulness into this person's mind.
Absolutely. I love breath work.
So maybe after 5 minutes, the person says, have I meditated now? Yes, you were present. You synchronized the breath and the movement, and you were very present when doing it, and you didn't think about all those other things. So you did mindfulness. You use a component, your own faculty of mindfulness when performing the yoga or when doing the yoga.
Lovely. I'm so glad you covered that, because it isn't, you know, mindfulness and, you know, nutrition and all this type of stuff is, which brings me to the next question shortly, is so trendy right now, but
yes,
there's a responsibility that I'm glad you covered. As opposed to, oh, I'm a guru, I'm a yogi, but the responsibility of what comes with that is so important. So yeah, I'm going to take a moment to read one of the comments. Guys, this is a great opportunity now to have all your comments coming in, as I would like Mag to take a moment, have a cigar, have a drink, whatever you do, have a moment. I'm going to put on my 2020 vision, because otherwise I can't read anything, yeah?
Oh, love those.
You love them?
Yeah.
Now I can see clearly. Whoa. Thanks. Okay. Let me see. I hate when I read it, all the writing starts speeding up.
Oh.
If you just want to start, how is the best way to, I can't move the screen up now. Hang on. Okay. How is the best way to start with meditation? Yeah.
Yes, that's a good question, and I mean, maybe it's even more difficult now, because you just search for meditation on Google or YouTube, you will be so much over-soaked with different recommendations and tips. So I think you should maybe first see if you are a person that want to know some research about meditation. And in that case, you can start from that point of view, or if you are connected to a tradition, if you are, let's say, Christian, you can maybe find meditation in your local church, or
meditation, Mag. They only meditate on the Lord. It's actually, this is why I brought it up. I don't know if you've met New Age ones, but Christianity in itself and the doctrine talks about, because they believe meditation clears your mind, and the doctrine will talk about we must always be in control of our mind. So they say meditation, but what is also contradictory is that they would say meditate on the Lord. You see, they would say meditate on the Lord. When I researched the word as a young person, it just means to ponder, meditate. Yeah. So I guess it depends on the term of what you think meditation is, but Christians, they don't agree with any of this sitting there. Like, they don't agree with any of it.
Okay, so let's sort that out. It's nice to sort it out more a semantic way. What is meditation? So meditation, if you just look at the word, is in Tibetan is gomgyap. It actually mean to, or in Sanskrit is bhav. It means actually to cultivate, to become familiar and cultivate something. And what is it that we should cultivate? We should cultivate positive patterns, things that create positive patterns in life and for us, but also for people in our community. So that's actually what the word means, to cultivate positive patterns and not to feed negative patterns, to be watchful, to see negative patterns when they come up and not to feed them. You can't diminish them. You can't do like the Christians explain it, like make the mind clear. It doesn't work like that. And the next word, mindfulness, so dempa, they say in Tibetan, it actually means to recollect or remember something. It's a faculty of remember something, to remember to stay at a certain point, or to remember to be with your task, to remember to be in the moment. So actually it's not so very much about always here and now. It can also be how to say, you can be to remember to be in a memory if you want to be there, remember to be in the future. Okay, now is a follow-up question. I actually want to know how to stop my mind from racing when I'm doing physically nothing, but my mind is having 100 thoughts and yet nothing at all. How to focus to quiet the noise? That's a good question.
You call it monkey mind. I've got that, a lot of white noise sometimes.
You have to train, and you have to start with, if you Google shamatha meditation, and if you don't find it, you can write to me and I will send you.
I'm going to write to you.
Yes, and you will start to have a consistent practice. That's the only recommendation I can give, actually. There is no shortcuts, there is no quick fix, but it's just like playing an instrument. You have to have consistency in your practice, and you can do it like 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, something like that, but you have to do it consistently. And that with that you will accumulate training hours, and you will develop, you will progress in terms of stilling the mind.
That's amazing. Guys, please feel free to continue indulging and sharing as we experience and continue to discuss mindfulness this evening. It's been amazing so far. Guys, if you love so far the dialogue we're having, please can you send some hearts? Come on, all the love. I'm going to put some more hearts in the inbox myself. And these ones are from Mag because he's so inspirational. So here you go. Thank you. So Mag, I would love to know, actually, before I continue, thank you for all the love. They're enjoying the talk so far. That's amazing. And of course, this live will be posted directly on my page, so it can be watched back many times, and I'll upload it to my YouTube. So for those who's missed it tonight, don't worry. We can do the playback for those who'd like to catch it. Before I ask you any more questions, is there anything that you would like to share off your own back, or even ask me? Feel free.
I think I reflected on what you said about your practice. You said that you were doing some yoga position, some breath work, and some mindfulness, and also some...
You mean in the beginning, or you mean now?
When you told us about your morning routine.
Oh yeah, now.
Now.
Incorporated, but it's more, I enjoy breath work, and the reason why I enjoy it is because it allows me to just be. We have to. I just say this as a disclaimer before I allow you. I think that it's important that we all look at why we're doing it and why you want to do it, as opposed to it being accessible and a trend. That is so important. And the reason why is that I don't follow what this one does, and I get what I need from it, as long as it's improving my well-being. And I find waking up, having a gratitude prayer, the appreciation of this being here. It's like pinching yourself, and knowing that you are present. And then when I'm being good, when I'm being disciplined, having a full body stretch,
mm,
incorporating small elements of yoga that helps me strengthen, like even back joint issues and things like this. But then just sitting and just being, and because I've always had a busy mind, white noise, people want yeah, because I've always had that. I do try to bring myself back, and sometimes I drift, but telling yourself not to drift, you only drift more. So I just say to myself, this is a gift. And I may rest my hands on my heart and I just feel the moment. It's just an appreciation moment. And then I start my day, because during the day, as you know, it's like you get preoccupied. You may not even feel if you bump your toe, you're just going, going, going. So in that moment, I'm just allowing myself to be like, wow, I'm so present. So that's just what I do. And I feel amazing.
But it sounds like you have found a nice liturgy, a nice
Mm.
sequence of
Mm.
pieces put together like a mala. And I think that is very interesting
I don't
because,
know how it came that way. I think what happened was, in a way, I wasn't ready for the full body, flexology yoga. I
mm,
just accumulated. I mean, I want to go a lot deeper and I will, but the thing with me is I always like to do things when it feels organic. And what I've learned is the younger me would, again, rigid, fixated.
mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm,
And then what it is, I'm not consistent.
mm.
So what I realize is by doing things in this small way, it becomes a lifestyle
Yes.
you see,
Mm,
that's what I realized. So therefore it's not a chore. I love it,
mm, mm,
and it's like intermittent fasting. I don't think, oh my God, because it's a lifestyle for me for a
mm,
couple of years. So if I don't want to do it today, it just doesn't happen. But 5, 6 days a week, I know I'm going to do it because it's become a lifestyle, not a diet where I've got to remind myself now. So it's become a lifestyle. Some days I'm naughty. 3 days will go by. I'm like, oh, I haven't done it. I can feel it. I feel
mm,
sluggish. My mind is. But
mm.
the minute I do it, I am just radiating.
How long does one session takes approximately?
Um, if I'm not rushing myself and I'm just being, I realize it could be 20 minutes.
It's a good format. So
Mm.
I mean, I think that's really good. What
Mm.
you have done, I think you say so many good things here that it's become a lifestyle. That's why consistency is so
Mm.
interesting and so important. That is not any longer every time a discussion in your head like I should do it, I must do it, things like that.
Just
I
occasionally.
want to do it.
Mm.
Yes, I want to do it. Yes, of
I
course,
want to,
occasionally.
occasionally I will have that little battle, and I'll
Mm,
be honest, I love our transparency here. Oh, by the way, I'm a support worker for autism mainly, and I started doing this little session with them. They know that I'm not professional. I'm just taking up that moment and we're sharing it, and they just love it. They love
mm,
it because it's like, I call it like mobility, a little bit of mindfulness, but I don't do meditation. I'm not a meditation teacher, but I call it my mindfulness session with them, and
mm,
they don't know much about autism, but there's different levels and arousal
mm,
stages with them, but they love it. And then we took them to the forest last week. We hugged trees, and they loved it.
mm.
Walked, dance
Beautiful.
barefoot in the soil, and some of them don't speak very much, but you can see like the feelings, the expression. Oh my God! Like one of them said, "I felt something. I felt something."
Mm,
So I'm just in a really great headspace with
mm,
that. But the occasional times where I'm challenged is if I'm experiencing low vibration.
mm,
So then in that moment, your mind's tricking you. I don't want to do it.
mm,
Yeah. But then I
mm,
know that's the very thing that keeps me feeling magical.
mm, mm,
Yeah. So I have this constant relationship with myself. So now I call it dating myself. Am I crap date? Am I not going to do it? I know I'm going to be crappy later. It's like eating McDonald's. Great for now, feel crappy after.
mm,
So
mm.
I'm loving it, but I know that I need to go a lot more dynamic with it. But this is where I'm at now, and I'm enjoying it.
No, I think it sounds perfect. I think it sounds very
Mhm.
good. And
Mhm.
also I think you said another thing there that in the beginning you touch up on your intention. Why are you doing it? Why do you want to come back to your training, your session over and over again, to your sadhana? And that is, I think many people miss out on that because they don't know exactly why they're doing it. Just maybe because mindfulness is trendy, or yoga is mainstream nowadays. But to really ask yourself, why are you doing this? Because that the answer on that is also the answer what makes your life meaningful.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And of course that is in the end, isn't that what we all want?
Absolutely.
Yes.
But I'm glad you can do that for me, because sometimes we think we're doing something right and it could be so wrong. But that's my little made-up combination. I don't know how I got this combination, but I quite love it. That brings me to my question with you. Do you have a morning, evening, afternoon, evening, night ritual? You know, what time do you do your meditation? Where do you do it? On hot stones, outdoors, indoors, hot room, steam room? Because I love being in. Tell us a bit about your personal ideals, and if you have rituals in that way.
Since I still do the tradition of Ashtanga yoga, quite many days a week, a good week, 6 days. And when I'm doing that, I just doing it in my living room, or I take off for a yoga studio here in Stockholm for about 5:45, something like that, 6 o'clock, something like that, and then there will be yes, AM, and then I join a class called self practice or Mysore style, and that means that you know. The sequence is set, so you just go is a drop in and you do the sequence without guidance, but there is a teacher in the room. My teacher is there and she will help you with adjustments and support you in the different positions, and she will also add on positions if it becomes too easy for you. So it's both a breath work and a lot of yoga positions. And then I do something called Nundro. It's a Tibetan meditation practice that contains a few different elements. And at the moment I do something called prostrations. And it's how to say, you can see on my Instagram I show you bow down saying a specific mantra. And it's how to say, to deal with pride and negative patterns and such before going deeper into meditation. But there is also a liturgy in that. So I sit down sometime and just do still meditation, but most of the times I go through a liturgy which is set from a teacher of me. So I spend
that daily practice that you just shared.
That practice is daily. It has to be a streak, yes, for a very long time.
Do you agree that there's something quite, whether we call it evoking, magnetic, I don't know what you'd like to call it, by doing these things crazy o'clock in the morning? I mean, I'm not even a morning person, but I'm becoming one for the last year. And there's something about, I keep waking up. I'm usually the snooze queen, so I usually hit my snooze button 10 times.
I know. I'm the same, yes. It's horrible.
Today was the first time I used it in a very long time. And I love the fact that I'm getting up hours before my alarm clock and I want to see sunrise. I normally I only have these feelings when I'm traveling. You know, you're out, you feel the sun, I'm excited and you're traveling. But something came over me and I don't know what, and I'm loving it. And I just want to see the sunrise in from my bed. And I want to go out either my front door, the garden, and just be there at crazy o'clock in the morning. And I feel like it's a gift.
Do you take coffee before or after?
Never drink coffee.
I never drink coffee.
Believe it or not, I'm naturally active. Can you imagine if I drank coffee? I'd be bouncing off the walls.
Oh yes.
I think normally my for some years morning ritual also is just room temperature water to start my day.
Yes. My mother has always been doing that as well.
That's when you start getting old. You start doing that. You see, yeah, me too. That's taken me 40-something years to start doing this. So now I'm doing it. Yeah.
That's good, I think. Yeah. But in the early morning, I think it's something also with that your stomach is empty, isn't it? The nutrition, the digestion is not working any longer so hard. So you feel very calm in your system. Because I never eat before I'm doing yoga. I think it doesn't mix very good together. And I think it's something with that as well. So sometimes when I do my yoga, this is not a recommendation, something like that, but I do the yoga early in the morning, and I don't eat anything until maybe 10 or 11, maybe fruit or something like that.
Me too. Normally 1 o'clock, I break my fast at 12. But you've just hit a fascinating point, because I was just about to ask you whether you feel personally or even professionally that dietary plays a massive role in this mindful evolving journey. What's your thoughts? And what's your dietary like?
Um, when I was in the Buddhist world, in the Buddhist community, actually they didn't talk so much about food. They didn't have that. When I was in Nepal, the first times, many monks also ate meat and such.
Really? Okay.
Yes, and not very good food. I wasn't served very good food, very simple, and
Simplistic.
people wasn't very. They didn't talk so much about it. But as I heard sometimes that they said, like, if you're very, how to say, light in your energy, a lot of air, and you are like you describing on the walls if you drink coffee, then maybe you should eat something warm before you
I've never liked
meditate.
coffee, but I'm saying, I imagine I have too much
Yes,
to do with it. It's driving me nuts.
yes, if you would do it, yes, if you would do
Oh,
it. So if you eat something warm in that case, so you feel more grounded. And if you are a bit sleepy and drowsy in nature, low energy, maybe you should eat less before meditation. But then coming to the yoga world, they are more or less, many people obsessed about the nutrition and the diets. And there is
so are you a pescatarian, vegan, flexitarian? What are you? I'm a
I
I'm
was
a
I was a vegetarian for many years, and since I was very young. But now, first of all, I'm not very interested in the word, because that will also just be
Mhm.
another
Blend.
label on me, that you will
Yeah.
say, you said you were vegetarian and now you eat meat, and it will mess up things. People spend so
Well, they
much
made a new one,
time.
Max. There's a new word, isn't it? Flexitarian, which means you eat meat sometimes and you eat
Yes,
fish sometimes. And there's always a new crazy word. So allegedly, I'm a pescatarian. I eat fish for
you eat
now, but
fish. Yeah.
it's mainly plant-based stuff.
Mm,
But I can force it. This is interesting because, again,
mm,
when the trend really became trendy,
mm.
I was like, oh, I haven't eaten meat from 2014. I didn't realize
No.
this was going to be
Mm,
a trend. All that
mm,
happened to me is I decided to go just do an experiment with no commitment,
mm,
okay? Which
mm,
is no food to drink, no bread, no meat. I lost so much weight,
mm,
I was thin.
mm,
I remember I was traveling to Africa, I was very small. But remember, it was never a chore because I did it just for an experiment.
mm,
So there was no commitment. I
mm,
went to eat meat again after, I don't know, a few weeks, and I was like, oh, I felt physically sick.
mm, mm,
And I knew I could have crossed that boundary by keep pushing it.
mm,
But I thought, well, why go back to it? Of
mm,
course, fizzy drinks maybe a few times a year.
mm,
Bread, I have a love-hate relationship. I would eat bread crazy for a month and then run away from it for another year.
mm.
But that's what happened again. It became a lifestyle with no meat, no pressure. Do you see what I mean? But I would prefer to be strictly plant-based.
Mm.
But I must say, there's a frequency change inside of me when I just do raw. Because last week I done 4 days raw food. I felt amazing. I don't know
Mm,
why.
mm,
And then this week, bread, lots of carbs. Ugh, I'm tired. I'm tired. My eyes are burning. I want to sleep.
mm, mm, mm.
Yeah, but
Yes,
I love
yes.
raw
Mm,
food. I love the rawness of just like, having a carrot like crisps or eating salad like it's crisps out of a bag. I love that lifestyle.
mm, mm. I think you should listen, just like you listen to find that sequence that worked out for you.
Mhm.
Again, you listen to your body. How does it feel to be in balance? You have to find that. And sometimes we fail, and sometimes we are offered food from parents or friends that
Yeah.
doesn't care about your habits, and so
Yeah,
to
like
speak. But
biscuits. My mum's always offering me biscuits, and I keep saying to her,
mm,
why? Yeah, but
but
let me ask you something. Do you know, or do you agree? And this is important, guys, because all of us are trying to chase some lifestyle or some dietary, and like you said, trends, that your blood type ought to dictate your dietary.
I don't
Did
know
you know
much about that. No, I don't know so much about that
that? We
actually.
don't pay attention. Our blood type, allegedly,
Mm,
and it would be an interesting research for us to do, your blood type is supposed to dictate your dietary, not us having these ideals. Now, for me, at least a few times a year, I feel very low energy in terms of not vibrationally, that's a different thing, but in
mm,
terms of lethargic, that
mm,
anemia feeling of like, feel like I'm going to pass out. So
mm,
I'll go take bloods, they would say low blood pressure. Nothing
mm,
we can do, better than high.
mm,
But
mm,
a few weeks ago, I was feeling very dizzy, like I'm going to pass out. This week, I'm actually taking more bloods, but I have that every now and again.
mm, mm, mm,
My dad
mm,
said I eat too much rabbit food. I don't know.
mm. I
I don't
don't
know.
know. I don't know, but I also think that whatever diet we choose,
Hmm.
we should always be open to listen honestly, and we shouldn't stick to it just because any yoga teacher says that this is you have to do like this. Because as you explained, we are different, and we also not only in terms of body type, but also we face different situations in life that make us maybe we have to change that.
Mm.
Like me, my daughter was born with a rare condition, and she couldn't eat at all actually from
Oh,
since birth until she was about 10. She got fed how to say through the
like a medical tube.
yes, exactly. And I mean, at that time when she started to eat after that period, I mean, it wasn't a discussion about diet and stuff like that. Just
Mm.
eat whatever you can eat.
Of
And of
course.
course, and even if I was a yoga teacher and I was sometimes quite strict about diet, I also had to listen to this situation, and I just served anything for her, just
Mhm.
because so that's a typical situation that you have to be more like water. You have to listen to situations in
Mm.
your life to find balance, and not only to what other people said. I also heard in the yoga world that people they eat less and sometimes women got a problem with menstruation and they eat too less iron and B12 and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then it doesn't matter. That's not balance any longer. So then you have to make a change, because we also live
Mhm.
up here in the Nordic countries where it's less light and it's very cold, and so of course it's different. But it's
Very true.
interesting, of course.
It is do you know my ideal way of eating, which I do a lot, but not as much as I want to. I'd love to do it 7 days a week, but I never get to sometimes 7 days, is one meal a day. At one
Mm,
point, I'm doing it regularly, one meal a day, proper meal,
mm,
and then having fruits in the evening. So
mm,
if I've had one solid meal in the morning or the
mm,
day, that's my meal budget.
mm,
Then, like tonight, I'm going to be very good today. I had a very naughty meal. I had pizza. It was so good. I went bowling with my clients, had too much pizza and just
mm,
too much garlic bread. So I'm feeling like Humpty Dumpty. Tonight, which should have been by 8, but it's okay. I'm going to have
mm,
pineapples and water, and that's it. That's
mm,
my perfect. I love when I
mm,
eat like that,
mm, mm,
you
mm,
know? But I'm
mm.
going to ask you one more question before we answer the last question that someone's. Am I exhausting you yet? Are you still having a good time, Mag? Yeah?
No, I have a good time.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah. Squeezing it out of you tonight. One more
Yes.
question. Let's make this one interesting. Then we can read the last comment from the person, the viewer. Let's talk about meditation, yoga, and sex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What are the benefits? I mean, I'm very into the whole tantric
Mm,
and that meditative state. It's a whole nother level. Do you know much about
mm.
tantric? Tantra?
I mean, Tantra is there in the Tibetan Buddhism, of course, but I think it's presented in a bit different way than I learned that you can now find courses and stuff. So I'm not an expert in that, but of course I know a bit about it. And
It's intriguing. Tantric massage, it's all meant to be quite meditational, especially the tantric in itself. But so in your experience, your profession, your observation, or people that's told you, whichever way it goes, are there benefits in being in these mindful states, meditation, yoga, the whole mindful collectivity, and how that enhances our sex life? What's your thought?
Yes, of course, I think so. Because I think you train your ability to be present, and you also train your ability not to be so ego fixated.
Yeah.
And you train your ability to listen to other person's needs, not only your own needs. And you also, what I also learned a lot from the yoga is that I'm much more connected to my body, not only to one or two parts of my body, so to speak. I'm more connected to my full body experience. And if somebody would explain that for me before I started yoga, I think I not even would have understood what I talked about, because I was so much up here when I was very young and a bit quite disconnected, actually.
Of course. So would you say the whole mindful journey for you has aligned you with your sexuality and that connectivity with yourself and be very present? Is that what we're saying here?
Yes, I think so. I think so. And I also think, how to say, I also think that people that are practicing yoga, meditation, also Tantra, maybe they're not always so fixated by the orgasm in terms of friction, so to speak.
The journey,
because I mean, sex is presented in that way in the most arenas, like you are very goal oriented. You want this kick by the sex act. But
well, guess what, man? I want it all. How about that?
Yes, that would be much better.
I'm greedy.
So I think shall we end up with a catch line that if you meditate and you do yoga, you become a better lover?
I think so, though. I mean, people do based on who they are.
Yeah.
Your childhood plays everything to do with who we are. I don't mean it. If you had a terrible childhood, it means you're a terrible person. I don't mean in that way, but I mean, if you are very aloof or disconnected or not quite a sexual being, that practice may not necessarily bring you there if that's who you are anyway. But for those who's open and transparent, then like yourself, that is going to enhance your whole subtlety, your body, your energy, everything, isn't it?
I think so. And also maybe you open up also a bit more to be when you become more intimate with yourself and your inner needs
100%.
and longings. Of course, if you communicate that more open, which takes courage, of course, and it takes good relationships, that will also open up to a better sexual relation life.
Okay, so how about we read well, guys, add your comments now. Now is the time while I'm putting on my 2020 vision. Love you too, Chi Chi. That's right. She says finding balance with yourself. 100%. Where are you, Sandy? I think, and she goes, I think people have to understand that just because they label themselves as, especially vegetarians, of course, even not all are actually healthy. 100%. 100%. Absolutely.
That's a bit what I said, yes.
Yeah, exactly that. Wow. Well, how do you feel about winding down this talk, unless there's anything else you'd like to add, with a bit of mindfulness in any capacity you'd like to show us. I'd love to see you do all that bendy body stuff, but that may be asking too much. But take us into any direction, mindfully or physical practice that you'd like to share with us, and I'll be happy to indulge if I can.
Yes, I can. I can. Let's just. Yeah, I think I have a few cues that can make people feel quite relaxed in a very quick way, and I can do that. Just give me 1 minute with you and see how you experience it. So
Mm-hmm.
if you just close your eyes and then
Mm-hmm.
you open up your mouth a little bit,
Okay.
tiny bit, open up your mouth. And now this is not traditional way of breathing in yoga, but I learned that this is a good way when doing meditation. So close your eyes, open up your mouth, and then you take like a quite long inhalation, and then you slow down your exhalation. So intentionally, you slow down your exhalation.
Inhalation through the nostrils.
Yes, and exhale through the mouth and nostrils. And just first reflect on the energy in the inhalation and the exhalation. The inhalation is, of course, shorter in ratio, in terms of ratio, and is also more vitalizing. There's more energy there, uplifting energy. But now, for the person who feels anxiety and stress, really listen to the exhalation. It's longer, and when it comes to the end, at the end of the exhalation, it leads over to a gap where everything is totally still. So see if you can pinpoint 1 or 2 places in your body that you feel tension. In your jaws, in the forehead, in the shoulders, the belly, and see if you can, at the end of the exhale, let go of that tension. It's like you're carrying a heavy bag on your shoulders, and at the end of the exhale, you put it down on the ground, and then you can repeat. So I leave you with this technique. When the body inhales, you whisper to yourself inhalation, and when the body exhale, you whisper exhalation, and at the end of the exhale, you whisper stillness. And you wait in that gap, in that silence, in that stillness, until the body wants to inhale again. And then you whisper, inhale again. And you go that loop for 5-10 rounds. And you will get to know a new point of the cycle of breathing, which is so useful.
I love that. Thank you very much. Because even though I do some breath work, I don't always have these small conversations whilst having it. So I like that. So I'm allowed to have the monkey mind focused while still having a conversation, but being specific. From the inhalation, exhale, and then the
Stillness.
gap, the stillness. Yeah.
Stillness. And you can, if the monkey mind is there, you can just calmly say, like label things. High anxiety, high stress. I see you. You are there in the background. You want me to feed you, but right now I'm doing this. So you have to wait a little bit. Inhalation, exhalation, stillness. And then you work like this. And you sometimes get the sticky mind, stick to the anxiety or stress, and you take it home again.
I love that. Thank
So
you
this
so
is how it
much.
works. So it's not a failure when you get sticky to thoughts and emotions. It's part of the mindfulness loop. But with self-compassion, your awareness, your meta-awareness sees that you lost track, you lost the mantra. So now gently bring it back home and get back to your task. This is the loop.
That's the loop. I love that so much. It has been an amazing conversation. Before I literally close the live tonight, I'd like to ask you one more question just for you though. Yeah, which is how has your, this is called the afterthoughts. I call it afterthoughts before I close my book. Yeah. So how has this journey, this conversation been with you tonight with me on this live free flowing thoughts? What are your afterthoughts, Meg?
Very, very nice. I really appreciated it, and I love the world of internet that you stumbled up on my profile and started to see some posts, and then you contacted me and asked me, and it was just when I was about to release my book in a different translation. So it's perfect fit, and I love to connect with people. I love people. I think it's a beautiful way to find new friends and how to say soft networks all over the globe. It's very nice.
That's amazing.
And you've done a great job as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're a perfect host. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Can you share your amazing book with us and show us the book? Tell us about the book. Let's do your wind down now. What inspired you to write it? Tell us all about it, where we can get it, and everything.
This is a book, and I forgot. I wasn't mindful, so I forgot the English version at my office. So this is the Swedish version, but the English version is called The Art of Stillness in a Noisy World, and is a couple of essays about how you can practice mindfulness and stillness in the midst of life. So everything from very typical formal meditation till how you can explore mindfulness, waiting on the red light for the traffic lights, for the red lights to turn green, and you have 1 minute of potential mindfulness to be absent or to be present in the life you're living. And it's your choice, and you can start with it whenever you want to. So it's filled with those recommendations, and yes.
That sounds lovely.
You'll find it everywhere. Yes.
Of course, I've
Amazon.
last night. Yes. Yeah. Is this your first? It's not your first book, is it?
It's my second book, but the first book was only in Swedish. So let's say this is kind of my first international, at least.
Super. And what inspired you to write this book?
I just started to write, and I like writing, and I found a style that I liked, a bit poetic essay style, and then I wanted to explain meditation in a bit different way, because there are so many instructional books that is pretty much the same. I would say you have read all those body scans over and over again. So I wanted to just explain it in a bit different way. I wanted to make a try, and then also it was like a research for me to see where can you find stillness and silence in the midst of life when you live in a city like I do. Where is it to be found?
That sounds amazing, guys. So go out and look for this book. As I download this, I'm going to come back and do some edits in terms of adding links and, his Mag's page and everything, the top of the book and everything. Guys, so thank you so much, Mag. It's been amazing. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much
with us. It's been amazing, guys. Be sure to go and add his page like now. Okay.
Thank you for inviting me, having me, and thank you for being a great host and taking your time. And also a little excuse for my English. I lose words sometimes. I have the feeling short of words, but I hope you
are a great guest speaker. Take it from me.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Namaste. Please feel free to exit yourself on the right, wherever that little cross is, and I'll speak to you later. Peace and love. Thank you so much. Guys, that was amazing. I so enjoyed that. I'm going to send you guys some hearts because you stayed with us the entire conversation. Thank you guys for stopping by. That was amazing. I love conversations like that. Oh my God, I just want to go now, strip naked and do a full body stretch and yoga. Yeah, I'm so inspired. Okay, so that was Mag. I'm going to download this. Please add your comments on the actual post, because once I download this, all your comments, it gets lost. Unfortunately, Instagram doesn't allow us to keep your comments. So go ahead and add all your comments and love hearts and how you felt about the love discussion once I download it. Guys, I'll be back on Friday with Sandy, otherwise known as Open Minds, We are discussing the topic on, oh, also we have a couple of guest speakers coming on Friday as well, but Sandy is a star guest, female star guest. And Friday we're discussing, is it selfish to have one child? The stigma which still surrounds women and men having multiple children from multiple parents. You know, does trauma or post-delayed trauma influence our decisions? So those are the topics we're going to be covering on Friday. Please feel free to join me. And if you'd like to be also a listed guest speaker, please inbox me like ASAP, like now, and I'll add your name down for Friday. Okay? Chi, what are you saying? Can you help me with the stretching? Yes, you can, but I'll wrap you up, you know. Okay, focus, so we'll focus. Guys, you've been amazing. I'll see you Friday. Peace and love.